think it's the fact that people still remember what we produced and remember with enthusiasm, like you guys. That is the big reward, I think, rather than one individual incident. You could say getting Prince Philip to write for the first issue of Roy the Rovers was quite a big thing. Getting Sir Alf Ramsey to manage Manchester Rovers, big thing. Getting Geoffrey Boycott to become chairman, big thing. And all the other stars that appeared in the titles. But it's the fact that they're remembered now after all these years. People are keen to talk to me about them. And that's the big reward, I think.
Hello and welcome to the British Football Comic Podcast. My name is Matt Mutebutton Richards, and it's a sad welcome to the show this week because, of course, it's the first show since the very sad passing of our dear friend Barrie Tomlinson. I'm joined here by the Welsh Time Lord. Hi, Ian.
Hi there, Matt. Yeah, it's a sad one, but it's good to be back on the podcast.
Yeah, it is, and also by Tangent Richardson. Hi, Tangent.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, a sad one, but obviously we're going to be doing some stuff and we'll pay tribute and homage, no doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, quite right. So first of all, just want to kind of say condolences to Barry's family and obviously close friends. Before the theme tune, you would have heard a clip from episode 66, and it's just after I'd asked him, looking back on his whole career, what was he most proud of? And obviously he says there it was that people still remember his work. That was a big reward to him, and that's to all of us, all the listeners out there and us on the podcast. We were fans of his work and will continue to be forever, really. And hence this is why this podcast is almost like an ongoing tribute to Barrie and his work, really. He gave so much enjoyment to everybody, alongside obviously his colleagues, his editorial colleagues, and the authors and artists. And it's been amazing, really. It's not amazing, but the outpouring of tributes to him on Facebook. There's been hundreds of messages and comments. On X, there was over 1,000 after Jennifer, his daughter, made the announcement about his sad passing. On Down the Tubes, John Freeman did a fantastic tribute. Guys, did you see that? That was really good.
Yeah, I did. That was amazing, and some of the images that they chose were great with that. I do like the fact they actually chose Adam Woodyard's choice of Mighty Mouse. John Freeman picked out the ranks.
He did pick that out, absolutely. And you see there was comments there from David Hunt, David Skew, obviously friend of the show, both friends of the show. Ian Vosper. I sent an email to Ian, and because obviously they would have been affected by it because they worked with him for so long.
Yes.
Barry Mitchell sent an email, and you see there's mentions in newspapers. Giles Curran put something on X. Just
saw that.
Nick Owen
website. BBC Online,
BBC Online, absolutely. So and that's testament to the impact he had on so many people, really. So what we're going to do? So we just say a few words ourselves, really, to kind of add to the tributes that have been made already. So first of all, I'm just going to play a clip by Bygone Berrigan, who sadly he's not here today. So I'm just going to play that so we can hear his thoughts.
Yeah, so I'd just like to pay my respects to Barrie. Obviously, I was well aware of him when I was reading Roy the Rovers, and then as I've gone back through Tigers, I see his features in the Tiger magazines as well. And talking with him on the pod, he came across as a really, really lovely guy who had time for us as presenters, but also for listeners and readers of his comics. And I really enjoyed asking him questions and listening to his answers. He will be sadly very much missed. And I just appreciate how much he changed my childhood for the better. And obviously, due to the love I've got for comics, especially Roy the Rovers and Tiger, I wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for Barrie. So again, I'd just like to send my condolences to his family and rest in peace, Barrie. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely words there by Bygone. Let's come back to you guys. Ian, Time Lord. I'll come back to you first. Do you want to say a few words?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I remember when I heard the day after he died, and I wrote on Facebook at the time that in addition to buying his comics as a child and then later his memoirs, because I bought his 2 books that he produced, which were amazing, about how he created Roy the Rovers, and I think how he did other comics as well. I think it was 2 separate books like that. And then I was honoured to been friends with him later in his life, because at one point he quoted me as my friend Ian, and I thought, wow, my friend Ian, that's absolutely amazing that he would think of me as a friend. And yeah, especially, of course, we did the podcast with him. I think I just did the one with him at Christmas, which I really enjoyed doing. I didn't know about him when growing up, I have to say that. I didn't know about who the editor was, that kind of thing. I only found that out, I think, when he published his books. But obviously a lot of part of my life has been absolutely inspired by him. And long may it be. But say, rest in peace, Barrie, and my condolences to all your family and your many hundreds and thousands of friends.
Lovely. Well done, Ian. Well done. Tangential. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very difficult, and grief is always a very personal thing. But I think, like we do here, I think it's the memory of people and what they brought to this world. And well, I don't think there's enough time to show what Barrie brought to this world and how many lives that he had a personal impact on. You think about all those thousands of children that he had that effect on, that he would never have got the chance to meet. And it was very fitting, that part of the interview that played before the show. It's so nice to hear that obviously is his legacy. Like Ian, a very moment for me. I've gone on record in this pod before. I genuinely believe if it wasn't for Roy the Rovers, I would really have struggled to read. It was the real thing that got me to read those amazing speech bubbles and the action and all the stories. It is a moment, to remember all the amazing writers and artists and contributors.
Yeah.
And Barrie put that together. I think he did have that magical touch through the pod to get the honor of interviewing him. Unfortunately, I know you met him. I was struck down with COVID at the time, and so I couldn't make the meeting with him. But again, he passed on things to you to give to us. He showed he was very sad. A personal message from Roy, from Barrie, which was great. And I think, for me, it is sad for us all. But at the same time, I'd like to turn it into a celebration of a life well lived and that touched so many people. And we're just some of those people. And real celebration. And of course, thoughts to everybody that knew Barrie. And of course, he's close and loved friends and family. But Ian said it, and I think Neil did. All you can really say is thank you so much. There's pages of it. And his legacy will live on, I think, for many a year to come. We will still, of course, be discussing those pages from the Roy the Rovers comics. And so, yes, as everybody says, rest in peace, Barrie. But a massive thank you from myself for everything that you contributed in those comic pages.
Great stuff. Great words, mate. Yeah. And I guess from me, really, just he was on the show 8 times. So it's around 14 hours, really, of him giving us his time, giving us insights, all the stories about how the Christmas shows he did. Remember, he did a couple of Christmas shows with us talking about that, and his Santa beard. That was absolutely superb.
We'll never forget him appearing going from the light into the darkness as well.
He disappeared
and then reappearing into the light. Well, will always be a fond memory that I will have.
The 70th anniversary shows as well. They were great fun to do when he kind of reflected on what he was doing back in 1954. So it's quite personal, though. That show, and then obviously second one with David Skew. The one with David Skew, the first one, which was episode 68, which was just absolutely superb. That you can see the relationship they had. You know, a working relationship, but it turned into a relationship which turned into friends, dear friends. You know, and did speak to David, and as I know you did, Paul, not long after, and obviously he was emotional about it, as you can imagine. To Big Bar passing away. Obviously we were organising the 50th event, weren't we, of the comic launch. We decided not to do that just because I just don't think it's the right thing to do, really. It's going to be a very different event, and people did suggest, well, maybe want to do it as a memorial, but as I've heard that the family are planning some sort of memorial for Barrie. So, I suppose details will maybe come out eventually around that, and I'm sure as many people as possible would like to get to that event when it happens. I think for me, I kind of, it's a pinch me moment, really, because for like 7 of the 8 shows, I was producing those shows and corresponding with Barrie by email messages, and he was just so helpful, so friendly, so gracious, really. In everything, all the ideas I had, he was, great idea, let's do that, or what about this, let's do that. It was just absolutely brilliant to be able to do that, and he really enjoyed coming on. I mean, after episode 66, he messaged and he said it was like having a chat with some mates down the pub, and he said that many of his friends had kind of passed on, and it's difficult to get together, so it's nice to be able to do that. I guess, and he wanted to come on more as well. we had some more shows planned, and I guess in a really small way, really, really tiny way, it's amazing to be able to kind of give him back some enjoyment, somebody who gave so much enjoyment to all of us, in a tiny small way. We gave him some enjoyment, not even touching what he gave to us and all his colleagues. So as you both say, his legacy will live on, and this is not going to be the last time we mention him, of course not. Because you can't go through a show without mentioning him. So I think you're right, Ian. He was a friend to us on the podcast. He was a friend to all his fans out there. So what I like to say is, rest in peace, dear friend, and thank you for everything.
So sorry, Matt. Before we move on, I'm just going to say, actually, one of the genuinely saddest moments, and I was smiling when you mentioned that, was the show with Barrie and David Skew, and for many listeners, and unfortunately they'll never get to hear this because we hadn't hit the record button when they were doing the Goons. And there was just some absolute comedic gold before that show, and that's actually a shame. And we said that, didn't we? We lamented it at the time that we should have pressed record. But again, in all fairness, thank you, Barrie, again for another just an absolutely fantastic and amazing memory that will live with me forever. Just hearing David Skew and Barrie Tomlinson doing the silly voices from the Goons.
I'd love to have that. Just an outtake of one of them saying, "Oh, Lord."
Well, exactly, and that was it as well. I mean, that's what stands out. He has a fantastic sense of humour, absolutely sharp, and he had, as we know, he had some health issues towards the end, but his humour was on point all the time. So absolutely, and hearing those stories about in the office with David and all the rest of them, and you can imagine Ian Vosper. We were lucky enough to meet Ian Vosper, and you can just imagine the banter that would have been going on in that office. They would have had so much fun. It's unbelievable. So lots of happy memories, I'm sure, for all these colleagues that worked with him. So thanks, Barrie, and always in our thoughts. So, but let's just say our show will go on. And we'll carry on with the show today as per normal. So I will talk about the money in order. First of all, we'll start off with, as traditional, Melvin's musings. So I'll take everybody through that shortly. Then the Welsh Time Lord himself what have you got for us this week, Ian?
This week, tonight, Matthew, I am going to be doing the 1985 to 86 season of Roy the Rovers. And it's a wee bit, let's just say, controversial. Is that the right word?
I think so.
In more ways than one, and I'm not just talking about the lead strip here. Either.
No, I know it's a tumultuous year. It really is. Yeah, no, looking forward to this one. Looking forward to this one.
It's a nice word. It's a nice big word, that one.
What year?
Okay.
There's nothing special about year, but anyway, go on.
Yeah.
And then after that, we have Tangential. What are you doing for us?
Well, it's the next instalment of the Champ Spike We Are United story, and I wonder where we were going back into the past, because remember, it's non-season. Yeah, exactly. It's the mist and the wavy screen and the music as we go back in time. But that's all to come.
Could it be someone that's almost like a certain famous Irish player?
It could well be. I don't know if you're getting your West and your best muddled up, but all will be revealed.
Oh, sounds like it's something you got to get off your chest anyway.
Always.
Sorry. That was absolutely awful. Just should say, Goal was not here. He would love to send a message. He will pay his respects to Barry in the next show. Goals was really busy at the moment. So anyway, on with the social media feedback. So obviously, when we put out the last show, it was nearly 2 weeks ago, and then it was the sad news of Barry was just a couple of days later. So a lot of the comments on here kind of touching on Barry's passing as well. So so episode 130, where Ian, you took us over the 84-85 season, and Paul, you did week 23 of We Are United, and we did a collector's corner as well, didn't we?
Yeah, big collector's corner.
Big collector's corner, yeah. Okay, so comments are from Paul Waddington. He says, I just read a story in a 1920s comic, would make a good, if a little weird feature. So
that was brilliant. That was actually, we have to search that one out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so many weird stories, especially I think the further you go back, the mind you.
And we haven't even got to Ian's section yet. As I was just thinking.
Well, 20s, never mind 1980s. Yeah, blimey. Okay, yeah. But yeah, no, thanks, Paul. Yeah, well, tell us more about that. Sounds intriguing. George Prince, friend of the show. Hi, George. Says, great episode. It's very sad to hear of Barry's death, but through your podcast, we were able to hear about his comic life, and it seems he was happy to share. Thank you to you guys and Barrie Tomlinson for continuing the legacy. Yeah, no, thanks, George. I mean, I feel so privileged to be able to get him on the show, really, and it's fortunate. We were lucky. We were so lucky, weren't we?
It's amazing, really.
Paul Savage, he says, yet another top episode from the team. I was on my exercise bike during Tangent's section and found myself going faster and faster as Tangent's excitement increased. Oh dear. I don't know where to go with that one. But anyway, this week
I'm thinking of releasing exercise podcasts soon.
I should walk to it. I should do my walking to it, I think. Like last time, it reminded me of when I once walked to Dexy's Midnight Runners, Gino, because I did the plodding. They got to the chorus. I was knackered after that.
Well, you're lucky you don't do it to Tangent's one. You'll be breaking Usain Bolt's record. Yeah. Okay, and Paul says, this was a day or two before the awful news of Barry's passing. So thanks, guys, for some light in a sad week. So we're happy to do that, Paul. But it definitely was a sad week. The Melster himself, Trevor Melvin. Here we go. Trevor starts. Remembering Barrie Tomlinson, comic book hero, friend to us all. Real Roy the Rovers stuff. Sir Barry, thank you. The BFCP serves up a football comic book feast and a musical Brucey bonus. Because you remember, there's some dodgy rapping anyway.
Like dueling banjos or something, wasn't it?
As always, this latest BFCP fixture was music to this muse's ears and full of tasty football comic book match highlights. Early doors, the strains of David Skew playing The Great Escape on his trumpet could be heard coming from the legendary artist luxury bijou Champ Towers cupboard. Yeah. In some football comic book quarters, it's rumoured that this was actually a cry for help and that David is being held against his will within the corridor of uncertainty. BFCP sources strongly deny these claims, though, and suggest the Roy the Rovers illustrator was merely practicing for an audition to play with the Pucker Pie England band at this summer's World Cup. Watch this space. Musers. Vuvuzela, I say. Oh, God, I can't stand vuvuzelas, can you?
No,
Almost as bad as drums.
I must admit, I love Melvin's musings, but for once, that was one line I decided that I found that almost as controversial as Ian's piece coming up, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's not going to bands at football matches. Oh, we go in full Tonto.
There's only one band which is any good at football matches, and that's the Barrie Horns.
Barrie Horns.
The Barrie Horns. That's Wales's band.
Okay, right. Well, as long as they stay there, that's the main thing. Trevor carries on. However, it was a hip-hop rap battle royal between the Podfather and Golden Ian that really kicked off the Champ Towers party.
Oh, yes.
The head-to-head saw the two pod stars spit bars and haymakers at each other as they covered the Anfield rap in a Bruce Grobbelaar style. Didn't they do well? I think he's definitely gone for a Bruce Grobbelaar snipe. I know.
I mean, all I'm going to say, I wish they had remembered that Bruce was South African or from Zimbabwe, but, it didn't come across.
He definitely came from somewhere, not quite sure. Whilst the verbal sparring was more 8-inch than 8 Mile, that's brilliant.
And he's back on form.
He's back on form, the Melster. This freestyle clash of the Pod Titans was a real room shaker. Who I say. Although Bygone Berrigan was available again after being questioned over the disappearance of the Kit Kat lorry, the pod was perhaps less chocolatey than usual. Who I say. Instead, the football comic book Bad Boys selection box of in-play dietary delights consisted mostly of bananas, and not the inflatable match-going type either. One of your actual 5-a-day variety. Yeah, he's away on holiday this week. I don't know where he is, whether he's at Cadbury's World or...
Well, I don't know.
World
to this day, I don't know where he got banana-flavoured Kit Kats from, but I'll ask him next time I see him.
Golden Ian then showcased the brilliance of Barrie Tomlinson and his picture story team at IPC as he reviewed all of the superb soccer soap operas that featured during the 1984-85 season of the Roy the Rovers weekly comic. Naturally, there wasn't a banana loaf or even a slice of Welsh rarebit in sight whilst the golden time traveller was on the ball. Nonetheless, the Cardiffian, is that? I've heard that before. Is that right?
The correct word.
Cardiffian.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I would never question the Melster, but clearly I have, so sorry to Melster. The Cardiffian comic book wizard still managed to get his teammates salivating when he revealed that Kevin Mighty Mouse was set to face QPR or Quality Pies and Rissoles. Ooh, I say. That's brilliant. That's super.
Yeah.
Brilliant. The all-day, all-you-can-eat buffet theme continued as the Tangential One's Fast and Furious We Are United European Classico had Mute Button Matt licking his lips and Bygone dreaming of shrimps. Over the Phil Shrimpton,
yeah.
Tangent's commentary was an eye-watering affair that saw goalkeeper Bill Shenton, not to be confused with the great Phil Shrimpton, who suffer from grit in the eye and a severe chafing in the shorts department. Who I say. Thankfully,
brilliant.
The newly installed Champ Towers defibrillator wasn't required for Bill, Phil, or even Tangential, who again went supersonic and caused earth tremors in the Riverton area, which is not a euphemism.
Says you.
Collector's Corner featured the delicious smorgasbord of football comic book treats, including Marcus Rashford's Breakfast Club Adventures, which is a family-friendly dish that Golden Catherine, a future Golden Time Traveller, is currently devouring.
She certainly
She got a mention by the Melster.
Yes.
Whilst the whole team shared a mouth-watering platter of football picture story delicacies that they'd acquired, the catch of the day was perhaps Mute Button Matt's scrumptious scoop annual that he gobbled up for just £1. Ooh, I say. Different gravy, lads. Official disclaimer, no sea crustaceans were hurt in the making of episode 130. Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Melsa. That was superb.
Brilliant.
Then we have feedback from Baldy Man, Voice of Reason.
Voice of Reason, there he is. I did see this, was brilliant.
Yeah. Great to hear from Simo. He says, what a great episode. We Are United 23 is one of the most memorable for me. those pesky Rumgarians, with the likes of Nikobokolov and Balls Ritchie. They were always tough nuts to crack. We even got an appearance from the legend that is Martin Lindsay.
Yes,
Martin Lindsay, brilliant.
Yeah.
But tone down the excitement tangent. Healthcare over there is dodgy, especially if Javolski is organising it.
Yeah.
The Golden Child astounded us with his encyclopedic knowledge and thoughtful insight. And to think we could have almost slipped past the podcast. He could have almost slipped past the podcast unnoticed and been left on the shelf. What a ledge. Following Collector's Corner, I've heard Gordon Gekko is jealous of the boy's incredible ability to purchase top class assets and is headhunting. Easy, bygone. Keep your ice pick in the drawer. He means job offer. You can't refuse. Finally, to Barrie Tomlinson, a man who made so many happy and clearly enjoyed putting his talents to use. Luckily, some of the guys on the pod got to meet him. Such a generous man and a true gent. He will be missed by millions. Yeah, absolutely. Great words, Simo. Good to hear from you, mate. John Evans says, emotional one. Listened after the passing of the legendary Barrie, but the memories he created for us all soon put a smile back on my face. Thank you to the chaps as well for letting us relive these in the past few years and to hear from the great man who made this possible. Yeah, thanks, John. Cheers, mate. And a couple from YouTube. There's Yoni, who's on there, Yoni4416. He said, well, I don't believe I've only just found this channel. I'm 52. Good age.
Yeah,
good age.
Bit young if you ask me, but not, not too bad. But you know what? Finally, we are putting in a youth policy.
Well, it's nice that we're getting a new generation coming through, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
You can go into the youth team. And remember, I'm 52. I remember doing a paper round at my local newsagents and paid off out of my tiny wage each week, ordering a Roy the Rovers comic every week. And I still have them to this day, bar a few. I'm also collecting Scorcher and Tiger comics. Cool, guys. Well, good to hear from you, Yoni.
Sorry, mate. Can I just? That's just remind. When I was 11 or 12, do you know what I wanted to be? You know, when they ask the kids like, "Oh, a fireman or whatever," I wanted to be a newsagent because I wanted to get the first edition of Roy the Rovers and Tiger.
Excellent.
I thought being a newsagent was the best job ever.
Right, and the sweets.
Yeah,
that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Sweets and comics. And what else do you need in life?
You can't go wrong.
That's what Tangent said. I mean, not Tangent. Bygone says chocolate biscuits as well. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you'd have to account for chocolate biscuits. Those big bottles of sweets. No one will notice if you take the odd one.
Yeah. God, I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Great idea. And finally, Lee Coulson on YouTube says, I didn't get a chance to watch this episode until hearing the really sad news about Barry's passing, and I must admit it made for bittersweet viewing. A reminder of what a legacy Barrie has left us for his brilliant career in comics. I'm just glad he was able to see firsthand the impact of that career through Twitter and your podcast too. It was always a privilege and pleasure to see him guest on the show and chat with Barrie online a bit. Yeah, many people did that. He was so good at replying back to people that messaged him on X. I'll leave off any more comments in case you're perhaps planning a future podcast in tribute to Barrie. But Ian's fantastic latest season review is a reminder of how much Roy the Rovers meant to us all growing up. Maybe we wouldn't have ever connected without Barrie. Very good point.
In all honesty, without doubt. I mean, that's how I know both of you, to be quite honest.
Exactly. I know. It's incredible the impact he's had. Thanks as always for another great episode and carrying on the rich legacy of so many British football comics. May it run for many more years to come. So great stuff. Thank you, Lee. Thank you to everybody, and fantastic comments about Barrie. So it's lovely to hear. So that's it. That's the feedback for this week. Thank you very much. So on with the show, and over to you, Welsh Time Lord.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I will now try and share my screen, and hopefully that'll go well first time this week. Just about, anyway.
Yeah, here it comes.
Okay.
Coming up
Oh,
on
we
there.
go.
We are.
Yes, I am doing Roy of the Rovers, the 1985 to 86.
Strap yourself in, blimey.
Yes, season 12, which my chapter name for this is Ballet and Bazrun.
Like it.
Bazrun. Okay, so it goes from 17th of August 1985 to the 16th of August 1986, a 53 issue season. Price guide issues 457 to 489 were 24p, and 490 to 509 was 26p. So this season saw some of the biggest revamps in Roy the Rovers comics so far. There were two major style changes. The first came in issue 457 at the start of the season, where there was a major logo redesign, and the whole comic got a makeover. And I remember thinking that looked absolutely brilliant, by the way.
All right, really?
I do, from this particular
Yeah.
one. I loved the look of it. There were 4 new stories, 2 of which featured already developed characters, Dexter's Dozen and Wayne's Wolves. The other new tales, or at least new to the comic one, was The Team That Went to War and Project 917. All the features were altered as well. There was a new quiz, Beat Bozgovich, which kept Victor in the comic. Phone a Star, a reader could win a $5 for asking a player a question. What's the score? Where Roy picked 5 real-life matches. The reader fills in their guess, and then the actual score after the game, no prizes. And the talk-in was revamped as Right to Racy. There were newly named funnies, which expanded to include non-football jokes, which is probably a relief. And there was also still Sign Please for a while anyway. All told, this was a solid issue. Good start for the revamp. Love the look of it, apart from the fact that the lead strip was still in black and white. I was just trying.
Yeah, that's interesting, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Then in issue 463 came the first ever change of printing styles, and not for the better.
Yeah.
Up until now, the comic had been printed on fairly good quality matte A4 paper. But this change saw more of a cheap comic stroke newspaper style look, where the color was printed in a different way, and it often made it look out of sync with the black and white. It also meant the end of Sign Please, as the comic style could no longer support this feature. The final player, by the way, in issue 462 was Neil Webb. The only benefit was that the Roy of the Rovers strip was back to full complete color. Apart from one page in issue 495, where the center 4 pages were dedicated to a pull-out ad for the newly launched comic Oink, which I think we've talked about in the past. Returning from issue 477 was the Marx Brothers, but sadly it was a reprint. It had the odd change in text, as in Rick Stewart, not Gordon, appeared in the charity match. There was an update of clubs for Johnny Dexter and Kevin Mouse, and a redrawn Melchester kit. Out of the usual ads that appears, now one thing that actually caught my eye was a 5-part comic strip series based on the new film at the time, Biggles. Half a page each week, printed in issues 494 to 498. Now, I remember these strips actually prompted me to go and see the film, probably at the ABC Cinema in Cardiff, because they were actually promoting it in conjunction with ABC Cinemas.
With all the other Cardiffians.
With all the other Cardiffians.
Once he learns a new word, there's no stopping him.
I'll be using it on a daily basis.
So my favourite story of the year was a reprint, but to me, Nipper. A new one to me was Nipper.
Oh, okay.
Because Nipper was reprinted, and I absolutely loved it. It appeared, if you remember, Nipper Lawrence had appeared in Roy the Rovers before, in Roy's England story back in 1978. But this particular reprint features an early version of the character. Now, the Nipper strip started in issue 1 of Score on Raw in 1970, but we actually joined the action in the 79th part of the story.
Good research. Love that.
Thank you. You'll hear all about that in my new book. Printed. This was printed in 107 of Scorcher and Score from 1972. Nipper Lawrence was a 15-year-old orphan who lived with his foster parents in the dock town of Blackport and became an apprentice with local Division 2 club Blackport Rovers. When 2 Blackport players were injured in a coach crash, Nipper was given his first team debut, and he'd already scored 2 goals by the time we joined the action. Nipper completes his hat-trick with a penalty, and Blackport win 3-1. Loads of local kids then invade the pitch, all wanting Nipper's autograph. He becomes famous. He's invited to appear on television, and he was asked what he might do with the extra money that the first team players get, which actually could be up to £400 a week. Nipper said he'd use the money to hire a lawyer to prove his father was wrongly convicted of robbery. However, a director, Harry Belcher, who seemed like he'd had an involvement in the crime, was watching. So, reserve player Jack Taylor isn't happy with Nipper either. Nipper only got his chance in the first team at late notice when the reserves were already travelling to an away match. And Jack feels he should have been in the first team. So Taylor and Belcher organise a little accident for Nipper. Scaffolding falls on him. Nipper injures his knee. He covers it up for the next game, scores 2 goals, but collides with the keeper when he scores the second. So everyone thinks that's when he picked up the injury. Nipper does make the side again for the final game of the season with Taylor on the bench. Blackport need a point to earn promotion to the first division, and despite Taylor making things awkward, Nipper is the star of the show. Blackport win. Meanwhile, Belcher makes it look like that Nipper has stolen all the players' wallets, and Nipper, not wanting to be falsely accused, runs away. In the end, there is a final showdown between Nipper and Belcher. It's on a building site after Nipper's been spotted playing for the work side. Belcher admits the truth about Nipper's father. He's all overheard. He's arrested, and Nipper can concentrate on making his first division debut. And in that, he's a success. He comes up against the tallest player in the league. He's the shortest player in the league. And that's where we leave the story, sadly. The reprint lasts 33 issues. It's extremely enjoyable. It's a shame it didn't continue, as I'm sure all the modern day people, kids, fans wanted more of that.
Yeah.
It's just, sorry, it's really interesting to see. I found that really, already you've started with the controversy for me, because I didn't read that story at the time, and I really didn't like it. And the reason being is I was aware of Nipper at the time in the Tiger comic had been, and the artwork is vastly different.
It is,
and of course at the time, obviously later I've got the Score comics, but at that time when that story appeared, that was all new to me, and it just looked really wrong to the Nipper Lawrence that I know. So again, it's really interesting, isn't it, when you come across these stories? So for me, as soon as I saw that artwork, and please, so I'm not sure exactly who the artist is, but as I always say, if I'm being critical of the artwork, please remember I wish I could draw as well as the worst artist that's ever had work published.
You always say that. I think you think that someone's going to come and cancel you.
Well, well, I deserve to be told off for that. But yeah, just wanted to say it's really interesting because for me, I didn't read that story because I just didn't like the artwork, because it wasn't Nipper as how I knew him.
I wasn't vastly aware of Nipper. I had seen him in Tiger, but I wasn't a regular reader of Tiger, so I didn't know much about him. I would have bought the odd one or two, but unknown of him. But that's about it. And I think I probably had seen a few reprints of the first one before that, but I may have done after. I'm not too sure.
It's I mean, I did a deep dive into the Nipper story. If any of the listeners haven't seen or listened to episode 78, but yeah, like great stuff. And you're right, Ian, it's a brilliant story. And the artwork is Francisco Solano Lopez, who was the first artist, and it's brilliant. But I absolutely get what you're saying, Tangent.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Solano Lopez, because they went on to do Buster's Ghost in the end.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. I mean, and again, a bit of a later on in his artwork, I mean, you can see it, but it's quite different to this early stuff. But
it is. Yeah. So my next one, Dexter's Dozen.
Yeah.
This was a really good replacement for the Hard Man and a nice change of tone. Mike White, the artist, gave Johnny Dexter an older and grittier look, which suited the storyline. And we start the strip with the final match of the previous season for 4th Division Burnside Athletic. They were a really low division club, and the match was portrayed in the pouring rain, and I thought that was brilliant because the style was
unusual, wasn't it?
A dismal, unattractive club, and the weather added to it. That was great. Burnside were re-elected to the 4th Division for the 3rd time in 4 years. Johnny arrives at the club, and he is welcomed by fellow player David Race, no relation to Roy, and the wheelchair confined manager Ted North, who broke both his legs in a match 10 years ago. He's been at the club for 2 years, and he's only kept on as the directors feel sorry for him and no one else wants the job. So it's a small squad. There's only 11 other players. My headcanon couldn't take that. I thought there was a youth team somewhere and they'd select from them if needed, but but anyway, there's only 11 other players, all of whom are part-time, and Dexter's dozen is born. There's soon to be one more, though, as Johnny notices the main weak link is the goalkeeper. So he persuades Danefield reserve keeper Martin Jarvis to make the move to 3 divisions down. Also there is former Melchester player Terry West, as Johnny admits, used to watch when he was young, which is realistic, as I think Terry made his debut in 1967, and I'm thinking Johnny was about 14 then, because I've got Johnny in his early 30s by this time. And so Burnside do start to do well. They progress to the 5th round of the Milk Cup, where they draw against Danefield United, which means a clash with his former boss, Victor Boscovich. An extravaganza lasting 6 issues, which is long even by Roy the Rovers standards.
Yeah,
Danefield win 3-2 with a last-minute goal. Then, a little bit later, on the same day, Ted gets a phone call to say he can go to America and have operations that might enable him to walk again. But he'd have to live there for a couple of years. This is going to be really lengthy. Second, Victor quits Danefield for good.
Oh.
We can guess what happens here, readers, can't we?
No. What happened next?
Surely he goes back to Danefield. That's what always happened in the past.
Yeah. What I think should have happened is that Johnny should have taken over as player manager. I do agree that Ted was probably right to leave. I don't think he was a strong character. He was a means to an end. It was a great exit for him. But I think Johnny should have been player manager. If he'd put in charge, I think the strip could have lasted a couple more years with Burnside going through the divisions. I thought that would have been wonderful. But because of Victor, the tone of the strip quickly changes and it becomes more light-hearted. Like when Johnny had a clown nose stuck on his face during half-time of the match following one of Victor's stunts after a poor first half. Victor even plays once during an injury crisis where half the team have got the flu. He comes on a sub, scores an outstanding goal, and then collapses. Burnside sneak a draw in the final match of the season, but it's enough for them to finish in 4th place and earn promotion. Top 4 in the 4th division went up in those days. The playoffs didn't start until the year after that. After a summer tour where Johnny and Victor are kidnapped by smugglers, amongst other antics, Victor receives a call from Roy Race. What is that call? We'll find out in a few minutes' time, listeners and viewers.
Oh,
yeah. Again, sorry, on that story, I was really enjoying that. And as you all know, I'm a massive fan of Victor Boscovich. I really am. And I do think he's a bit Marmite. But I was a bit disappointed, actually, because I thought it was a very good, serious story. And I do wonder, as soon as Victor came in, it just completely changed to, a comedy strip again. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Next for me, and you still know main strip, okay. But next for me is goalkeeper. No exclamation mark in the title now, by the way. It used to be goalkeeper exclamation mark. It's now just goalkeeper. It goes really well this season, if only for some familiarity against the other chaos, which I'm yet to about. Rick is selected for Tynefield United's first team in the opening match of the season in the 2nd division. It's said to be his debut, but we witnessed that last season, so it's his 2nd debut. Tynefield City are lucky to sign Rick for 100 grand, despite him only having 2 senior games under his belt. The writer's definitely forgetting about his debut the previous season. This disrupts Rick, and he has an awful game next time out. Realising he probably isn't up to first-team football yet, he asks Jimmy Rockwell, the boss, if he can return to the youth team, who are in the latter stages of an area youth challenge cup competition, which they win. And I think that little bit's by a different artist. Rick's then recruited by a local youth club to help coach their side, and there he comes across punk kid Brian Osborne, known to all his mates as Oz.
Because all the punks are called Brian, weren't they?
Yeah.
Or Vivian.
Yeah, Vivian. Yeah,
Vivian.
Very good.
And Oz, he turns up late for the club's latest match, but after that he single-handedly wins it for them. But so because of how he is so good, Oz gets his chance in the Tynefield youth side. He gets taken on. Then in true goalkeeper or even safest hands style, he stays with Rick and his mum. But he carries a lot of baggage with him, including stolen goods, meaning that he has to go to court. There's also a clash in more ways than one with Jimmy Rockwell's son Steve, who signs for the youth team on the day he knocks Oz over on his bike. Whilst the team dynamic is changed again when Oz's mate Spider Webb is signed. Spider is useless with his feet, but great at headers. Somehow, this team of misfits helped Tynefield United win the proper FA Youth Cup for the first time in their history. I actually loved this team. It was full of characters, and it doesn't continue on next season. These team names, these people, only Rick. So I think it was a great shame. So the story was missing from issue 482 due to artist illness, and there was a one-off story about a goalkeeper presented by Rick Stewart, still under the goalkeeper banner in issue 483. There was also a three-part story in issues 484, 486, and 487, nothing again in 485, which tells the tale of a weakness that Rick might have inherited from his dad, dealing with high shots to the left of him. Drawn by a different artist, it was nice to see Frank Stringer involved again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This three-parter also features Rick's England youth home debut as they beat Mexico at Wembley Stadium. Next for me, Wayne's Wolves.
So Ian, I've got a question about goalkeeper. Did you say Tynefield City were in for him there?
Yeah, they did. The Tynefield City went into.
So I've to know what I have to offer apologies to all the listeners and YouTube viewers, but didn't Rick go to Tynefield United because Tynefield City went bust?
No, he went to Tynefield. He went to Tynefield United because Tynefield City didn't want him.
Actually, it's later on in the story. Yeah, no, ignore. I'm getting my clubs muddled up there.
I can understand.
That'll be revealed in future seasons. Actually,
I can see why you got the clubs muddled up, because so did the writers in the end. So there we go.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks, Ian.
That's all right. Next for me is Wayne's Wolves. Dan Wayne gets himself a new managerial job. You remember him from Darrell's Palace. Look it up if you don't.
Or Durrell's as a wagon.
Yeah.
This job now is a number of tiers above what he's used to. It's at top division side, Division 1 side Wolverton, the club where he was a youth team player. Problem is, they're £8 million in debt. All the big names have to leave, and Dan has to rely on players brought through the youth or signed from lower divisions. And this reminds us a lot, of course, of We Are United. Dan is left with 14 players, so he brings in Duke Dancer and Jess Barton from Durrell.
Yeah.
And most of the others are recognisable from the previous year's reserve side, with just two players from the first team from last season in their opening match against Ashnell.
Yeah.
Yes, this and Darrell's Palace were definitely not Melchester-verse stories. The team were trying hard, but the money was running out and wages were late. But a Milk Cup match brings in a full house, so all the players are paid. However, by Christmas, they only had one league win. Keeper Frank Dixon was forced to retire after a defeat to Kenny Dorleash's Westpool. And there was a typical Darrell's Palace type issues, like trying to give a lad a second chance after being thrown out of a club for violence, and there's threats to sell the best players as the club needs money. It all got so bad at one point, the players had to take a cut in wages, and none of them could afford their rent. So half of them move into the ground, including Dan, sleeping in camp beds in the boardroom, washing their clothes by hand and hanging them on the goalpost to dry. Dan is appointed chief cook. Wolves go out of the Milk Cup, and their only chance now of survival at all was to win the FA Cup. If they didn't, the grounds would be sold and the club would be wound up. And just like Durrell's Palace or Durrell's Palace, Dan gets too involved personally as he sells his own medals so the players can get a bonus. Against all odds and despite injuries to key players and the loss of their regular kit, Wolves win the FA Cup and escape relegation. The club survive, and they could just about afford to go on tour to Eastern Europe in a rickety old bus, where they're accused of smuggling behind the Iron Curtain. But their success puts them in the news, and finally some good luck comes to Dan and the club as they're bought by a multi-millionaire who promises that Wolverton will become a super club. It is a great end for Dan Wayne. He finds success at last after all this time. It would have been good, again, for this to have lasted one more year, leading Wolves to a league championship in 1986 to 87. But there's going to be another comic revamp on the way. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be.
It's a very interesting story. And I mean, again, for me, well, it's interesting that we have a go like fact and fiction. But you wonder, like, would a first division club really be in such a chaotic scenes?
Yeah.
But I found it interesting at the start, like you mentioned, Ashenor and the Kenny Dawlish really kind of almost having that real football. But they did come back to, so I'm going to take issue with you on not being in the Melchester verse, because in the FA Cup final they play Everpool, and the team names did suddenly become those that we were more familiar in the comics. I think they got caught as the story went on between two stools.
I think so. I think
as
they might
well.
well
Yeah.
have been, yeah.
But I enjoyed it. But I think it's a shame that Neil's not here. But I'm a big Dan Wayne fan, and for me, he was a character that should have survived another revamp, shall we say? But he didn't on this one.
You're right about football. You don't hear many clubs, at least if they are in that much debt. They've got so many assets and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't need it. And it's only rugby where I've heard them, people like Wasps and Salford, that kind of thing, that haven't done well. So next for me, Hotshot Hamish and Mighty Mouse. Adding Hamish has created welcome change, and thankfully, writer Fred Baker has decided not to include a hospital football side at Mouse's new establishment. I mean, it was enjoyable, but I just think it was too much.
It would be too much
to focus on one. This is Prince's Park and the scrapes that Mr. McWhacker, the manager, manages to get himself into. This season, it includes having to dance with Mouse's matron, Horrible Hilda. He's in prison twice, once in the zoo after dressing up as a monster, and another time in Switzerland when he's trying to break Hamish and Mouse out of jail for accidentally stealing a bobsleigh.
Fantastic.
Hamish's daddy provides more comic delight. He's a millionaire, by the way, living on a remote island, and he wants more money. So he enlists Hamish and Mouse to look for gold on a sunken ship. But it turns out the ship belongs to the Golden Sun sausage makers.
Honestly, you couldn't write this stuff. You just couldn't write it.
I know.
Hopefully it was true.
Yeah.
Princes start the season well, but director Mr. McCreep insists his son Clive is brought into the game. However, after minutes of his debut, he's hacked and taken off on a stretcher. After realizing that the fans won't stand for Mouse to be dropped, Clive goes. The focus on this season is on the European Cup Winners' Cup. And following Prince's second round win in Yugoslavia, Mouse is forced to take training for a charity parachute jump. However, he tricks those who are arranging it and puts Hamish in his place. Mouse eventually does do the jump for real when back in Scotland, but only when the pilot turns the plane upside down. Prince's Park have a new kit and sponsor. And the comic itself was sponsored by Peter Pan Playthings with a cup final game embossed on the shirts. I had one of those for Christmas that year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, maybe I was influenced by it. I probably saw it. Like, can I have that for Christmas, please, Mum and Dad?
It was very much based on Striker, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I think it's when we had to press down on
the player's head to kick the ball.
So with this, by the way, came the Hot Shot Club, a feature where a reader nominated a friend for scoring a great goal. And I believe one got some money and the other one got a game, something like that. In one match in this story, Mouse tries to put goalkeeper Andy Spatcher in hospital as he needs someone for the inter-hospital snooker competition, and Andy's the only decent snooker player that he knows. He does succeed. Andy is crippled, goes into hospital, wins the big prize, hot air balloon rides from Glasgow to London. But he refuses, so Hamish and Mouse have to go in his place. Unfortunately, they're blown off course, and instead of ending up in London, they end up in New York City. And they have to return by Concorde to make the next game. Eventually, Prince's Park win the European Cup Winners' Cup, keeping the trophy in Britain. Because, of course, Melchester won it the year before, following a dramatic final against Munchen Bunchen. In the summer, Mouse goes along with Hamish to his daddy's island, and of course, they all play in a match. Princes then go on tour to Australia, where they run in the outback, they go surfing, and of course, they play football with matches against Wingaroo Plains, Sydney Eagles, and Melbourne Movers. So we are
not much happened then, really.
I mean, obviously you've got previous seasons to do, but I'm sorry, a bit of a spoiler alert here. But in real life, no club ever successfully defended or retained the Cup Winners' Cup. Princess Park did, though.
They did. I do. Yep, definitely. That's quite good. I like that stat. So at last we get down to the main strip. It's way down my ranking.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to the views of the Melster on this one. It may be way down my rankings, but this is a long review. So
strap yourselves in.
Buckle up.
Like I'll give you two seconds.
I'm just going to put the kettle on. All right.
Right, okay. Press pause, you're back. Okay. This season was undoubtedly the most controversial and memorable so far, but mostly for all the wrong reasons. And the initial part of the story, Rovers' defence isn't up to scratch, but instead of going into the transfer market, Roy decides to pull 2 players out of retirement. 2 real-life players in Liverpool defender Emlyn Hughes and Arsenal keeper Bob Wilson, aged 38 and 43 at the time in real life. So younger than Roy, anyway. Now, perhaps they were Redpool and Kelburn players in the Melchesterverse. That would have been good.
Lovely, yeah.
Now, after watching a charity match and seeing how well Spandau Ballet singers Steve Norman and Martin Kent perform...
Sorry, what? Sorry, Spandau Ballet? What? Where did that come? Yeah.
It's pure gold.
It is
pure
true.
gold.
It is true.
It's true. Yeah.
Anyway, Roy decides to give them playing contracts, as you do, you know. Yes, the comic strip has now descended into insanity, and I suppose the temporary loss of Victor Bozkovich to a comic strip, something had to take over. However, what was good, though, full marks for this one, they weren't put straight in the first team.
No, that's
right. They did spend some time in the reserves. They made their debut in front of a record crowd for the reserves, thanks to their presence, one of whom was a local DJ who invaded the pitch when Steve scored a goal, asking Steve for a celebratory song. And the DJ was asked to come quietly by the cops because surely he knows it's an offence to invade the pitch. I've never been to a football match before, he protests. When the singers did make the first team, they become regulars, apart from the odd occasion where a pre-arranged concert took priority, which, as you can imagine, slightly annoyed the regular players who have dedicated their whole lives to football.
Can I just interject just and I know we have hundreds and thousands of Spandau Ballet fans. Steve Norman and Martin Kemp weren't the singers. So before we get thousands of postcards coming into Champ Towers, and the mailbag, Ian, will be huge. Steve Norman was a saxophone player, and Martin Kemp played the bass.
Thanks very much for that correction.
But that's okay. Yes. So any listeners out there, don't send us in.
Melchester starts doing well now, and after Bob Wilson keeps 2 clean sheets in a row, he starts speculating Rovers could break the league record for the most consecutive shutouts, which was 11. Bit enthusiastic at this.
That's what I thought.
Bob. I'm sure you've done 2 clean sheets in a row before, many times, but I guess it's something to aim for. Now, these clean sheets started before Christmas or just at Christmas, and we don't see the FA Cup. Now, my headcanon tells me Melchester are knocked out in the 3rd round. The shutout record resets, so we miss seeing 2 matches, and we rejoin things with a 3rd clean sheet. So that's what I think happens. Okay. So 4 of these matches are at the end of Rovers' Milk Cup run, and by sheer coincidence, the record-breaking match is the final at Wembley against Tynecastle. Wow. Unusually for such an occasion, this match wasn't even close, and Rovers go 3-0 up. The drama, though, is whether Bob would keep a clean sheet and break the record. And despite a last-minute scare, he does. Rovers lift the Milk Cup in style, and apparently it's a dream come true for Roy. Now, for someone who's won European Cups and World Clubs and all that kind of thing, and England Cups, if the Milk Cup is now a major aim, there's certainly something wrong in Melchester Rovers.
Well, it's a cream on top, wasn't it?
Do you know something? We've had this though. I remember in the United verse with Simo, because like some of the player profiles, and Joe Pearson, who's won amazing things, he said about winning the League Cup, one of his bigger things. And I'm just going to say that back in those days, although obviously it was still the 3rd trophy, winning the League Cup was actually massive. I mean, I remember Arsenal winning it against Liverpool under George Graham, and it felt, because it's been a long time, so it's the only time I get to talk.
At least you've won stuff.
Do you know why that match was really historical?
Well, obviously the Ian Rush thing, because he never lost.
You've got it. It was the first time Ian Rush had scored
and Liverpool lost. Yeah.
And then in the next game, he scored against Norwich, and they lost again.
Right.
You pick this. Life's about habits, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It was. You're right. The League Cup was. I mean, it's like now you can't compare it now at all. But to say it's a dream, or maybe it's a dream to win the whole set. Maybe it's a dream to win the whole set.
It could be. Maybe they'd won it before. I don't know. We'll have to look that one up. Anyway, we'll go on to, because I'm only halfway, by the way.
Sorry.
That's all right. We fast forward now to summer, missing out the matches.
Trigger. Can we just have a trigger alert for anybody of a weak disposition or goal?
Yeah.
To please blank your screen if you're watching this on YouTube, and do not watch this on YouTube if you're listening to it. But carry on, Ian.
Okay, thank you. We fast forward to the summer, missing out on the final matches of the league season. See Today newspaper for those. I'll talk about that another time.
Oh, yeah.
After scoring over 30 goals this season, Roy's been selected for the England side to go to Mexico for the World Cup. But before that, he's keeping a promise to an old friend and takes the Manchester side for a post-season friendly away to Basran. What could possibly go wrong? Well, everything in the most controversial Roy the Rovers story yet. In the middle of the match against Basran, there's a military coup. The Manchester side are trapped right in the middle of it. They're captured. They're sent to a prison camp where days pass, and we see the players more and more unshaven, still wearing their kits.
Yes, in the kit. Sorry, it's not funny.
Yeah, in an arranged attempt to escape, where someone gets a message into them, they play a match against the prison guards, still wearing the same kit they've been in all this time. Margaret Thatcher, sends in the SAS to rescue them, and this works. They board a bus to freedom, but around the corner is a suicide bomber. Now, the front cover of issue 505, which I'm showing on screen now, saw a very controversial and horrific cover, actually showing dead footballers with the title The Great Manchester Massacre. This cover, and indeed the story, have never been officially reprinted. This was a reboot in the most controversial way, probably inspiring the car bomb explosion at Cardiff's Millennium Stadium in Dream Team in 2005. But in this side, in Manchester Rovers, Noel Baxter, Vic Guthrie, Steve Naylor, Carl Hunt, Neville Jones, Kenny Logan, Jimmy Slade, and Trevor Cassidy are all killed off. Or as the strip says, several young men who took their boots to a country named Basran and died in them. I think we'll have a moment's silence there. We rejoin the story some weeks later with a headline Back from the Dead on the cover of the comic. Roy is wearing an I Ran the World t-shirt. We were in a fit state to do that on May 25th. Right?
How bizarre.
Yeah. It's now in pre-season and he's looking for new signings. Emily Hughes and Bob Wilson retire. Steve Norman and Martin Kemp, who didn't go to Basran, obviously decide that this sort of club isn't for them, so they desert Roy in his hour of need, forcing him to almost completely rebuild the squad. Players are brought up from the reserves, 3 are signed, and the final one is Johnny Dexter. So there you go. That's who he goes for. How well will the Manchester side do next season? Next for me, Billy's boots.
Yeah.
How did this story ever take so long to reach Roy the Rovers? The cover of issue 496.
It's a great cover, yeah.
It is. It's great for those watching on YouTube. The cover of this issue, it told Roy the Rovers told the big news story, the transfer of the year. That was the headline. The cover shows Roy Race and Blackie Gray welcoming Billy to the comic. So as the strip starts in Roy the Rovers, Billy returns to Groundwood School after being away for a while his gran was in hospital. He's selected for the school football team that afternoon, but a delay in retrieving his boots means he's poor for most of the first half and the side go 2-0 down, only to win 3-2 once Billy was properly outfitted. Billy playing in the final, carrying an injury, heads in the winning goal, just like Deadshot Keane did once. This is basically how Billy's Boots works, by the way. For those people who haven't read it, okay, the Lost Boots copies Deadshot Keane. In the summer, Billy signs up to play for a new modern team, the Microchips. Initially, the coach doesn't like the look of Deadshot's boots, so they're thrown out. Another bit of the story, always happens. Thankfully, they're retrieved. He makes friends with his teammates, especially the large lad Hulk, who Billy stands up for at school. Eventually, they get to a cup final at Wembley Stadium, where Billy, thanks to the old boots anticipating a pass, scores a winning goal. So for me, a really good start to the strip in Roy the Rovers.
Always makes me laugh. We talk about the multiverses and everything, but like that on the cover, you got Billy Dane shaking Roy Race's hand. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
I love that.
In Roy the Rovers, as the years go on, Billy actually gets older, which is really good. Next for me is Tommy's Trouble, someone who never gets any older. This strip finally comes to an end after being axed twice this season.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, neighbours. Barnes United adopts Simpsons Field without asking permission from anyone. Luckily, the first 2 games are away from home, so they got a couple of weeks to turn a patch of land that isn't theirs into a decent ground. Their first home match is well attended, including Waller and Swait, as they got nothing better to do on a Saturday afternoon. However, they overhear that the ground belongs to a Colonel Hartford, who doesn't want football to be played there and throws the team out after all the hard work they've done too. Things get worse for Tommy when his parents tell him that they're moving. He has to go, and it looks like Barnes United are finished because he's the only person who will do anything, Wallace shakes hands with Tommy to say goodbye, but there's an egg in it. The Bullies finally won, or has he? The strip stops for a while, but returns after popular demand just 14 weeks later. Barnes United have a rubbish ground, and they're playing badly. Then out of the blue, excuse me, a new player wants to join them, calling himself the Masked Avenger. He plays brilliantly, whips off his mask, and ta-da! It's Tommy Barnes.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that.
The inspiration helps the team, and their ground owner, former player Bob Hanks, decides to help them as a result.
So it's basically like Zorro, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barnes United weren't doing well in the Central League, but they were hoping to win the cup, as the prize included a trip for 2 to the World Cup in Mexico. However, Waller and Swait also want to go to Mexico. They're still up to their usual stuff. They pretend to be the masked teacher at one point, which you can see on screen. Anyway, Waller challenges Tommy to a triathlon, thinking that Tommy can't win, so he and Swait can take the tickets off them. That's the bet. Waller puts his bike up as part of the bet, and after Tommy wins, despite Swait's attempts to nobble him, Tommy claims his prize but tricks Waller into buying the bike back for 50p. When I say tricked, Tommy said he was never going to keep the bike anyway. It was just a joke, so he just got 50p out of it. By this time, Barnes United needed a new ground. Hanks has made.
There can't be any more recreation grounds in the area.
I know. I mean, you got old tennis courts.
Yeah, exactly. It will be
all that kind of thing. Because Hanks has now started to rent it out to non-league side Radford City.
That's what I love. That is like this school youth football team, which always makes me laugh. I mean, I played at that level. You never had your own ground. There were clubs that did, but most of it was, on Parks football and over Hackney Marshes and that. But when they lose their ground, it's like to a proper non-league team. It's just fantastic.
Oh, I know. It's just
they should have gone in for ground renovations. They should have forgotten about the football career. And just build stadiums.
They actually do get a new patch of wasteland to do up again. But before that, they're looking to win the Central Cup. Radford City's youth team was seen off in the semi-final, much to the humiliation of their old ground's new tenants. But Barnes United were beaten in the final. They enter a summer comp, but first they need to raise money to do up their new ground. So they arrange a 24-hour non-stop penalty shootout. United don't win the Summer Cup, but all looks promising for the club as Tommy promises never to give up. And that, at last, is actually the end of Tommy's troubles.
Wow, Tommy's troubles.
After 10 years.
What an amazing. Fair play to it. Again, Fred Baker, Ramon Bajero.
Yeah,
was the artist.
Same artist all round, wasn't it?
It was kind of like a comfort food, though, right? Tommy's troubles, because it was, although a bit like Billy's Blues, it was the same story recycled over and over again. But I have to admit, it's a story that I always read.
Yeah,
I agree totally.
It's
only now that I've read 17 years worth in the space of a year that I actually
how's the counselling going, Ian? Do you reckon when you're off the medication, is it soon or?
I'll be off it by the end of next week. I'm doing other things. Yeah. Oh, it's going well.
Brilliant. You're a legend. You're a legend, mate.
Thank you. Next one is Harker's War. So we're on to the unknown stuff. And this is a one-off, as in 14 weeks worth. Police Sergeant Dan Harker was a promising footballer. So 14 weeks, I think this was in between the Tommy's troubles. But injury ended his career. So he went into the police force and also coached his son Mike's side. But after getting caught up in some trouble at a local derby match, Mike fell from a floodlight stanchion, badly injured his back with a prognosis he'll never walk again. Dan wants revenge, so he quits the force to take the law into his own hands. Dan catches the thugs who have caused his son's accident, and a local club offers him a job as a hooligan buster, which he accepts. Dan is told that the problems stem from the thugs who call themselves the Away Day Specials, known for causing trouble on intercity trains. But his job isn't easy. Not only does he have to round up thugs, he has to deal with the opposition old Bill, who don't like a crusader mixing it up on their turf, even if he was trying to do some good. Dan is arrested, refused bail, and beaten up in jail by a few people that he's caught at one point. Eventually, he goes to trial and found not guilty, thankfully. But also in the dock were the hooligans, one of whom gets a 9-month jail sentence. Dan is accepted back in the force, Christmas approaches, and the story ends. And that's it. The story was relevant at the time, following English clubs ban European competitions, something that's been mentioned in other places in features in the comic. But I thought Harker's War deserved a bit better, and probably the lack of football action cost it.
It really is. Go on, tangent. You go.
I was going to say it was an interesting one. I mean, you are right about the European ban and everything, but when I read it, I kind of felt it was, for me, football hooliganism had kind of already reached its peak and was sort of beginning to diminish. And well, it ended up being a story that I didn't really read, to be quite honest.
Oh, fair enough.
I thought, I think you're actually right. When I've gone through those kind of seasons, Ian, the Roy Talks page, and he talks a lot. The editorial, whether it was Ian Vosper or whoever, is it Ray Harrison? I think he might have been doing the pages then. It wouldn't have been Barry, but they're very pointed in talking about ridding football of hooliganism. There's lots to talk about. Obviously, this would have been not long after the Bradford fire, ISIL.
Yes, exactly.
The famous Millwall Luton in '85 as well. So it really was kind of peaked. And they're talking about ID as well in grounds. So this was quite really a really topical story. Yeah, it wasn't one of my favourites. I wasn't reading it at the time. This story. I think I've just flicked through this one. I do remember it, but yeah.
The team that went to war is next. And now, for the first time, reprints and delays aside, Roy the Rovers has a strip that's set in the past. Whilst this story was new to Roy the Rovers comic, it was actually a reprint itself, being originally printed in Battle Picture Weekly over 19 weeks in 1976.
Yep.
So it's 1940 and Barchester United are taking on Combined Services team, but during the match, the Germans attack and start shooting the fans. We do see deaths, and this is...
I know. It's really... it's incredible.
Yeah.
Civilians get killed, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. One of the players gets a gun and manages to shoot the German attacker down. And this convinces the whole Barchester side to sign up and fight. So week by week, we see how each player gets on. They don't all survive, of course, such as wartime. Very little football shown. It's all about the battles. And in my opinion, the story's a little bit out of place for a football comic. I'm sure fans of Battle Picture Weekly would have loved this in the 1970s, but it wasn't for me. All ended in issue 475, following a final battle in a football stadium. It was nice to see the 8 surviving players back at Barchester to play against Combined Services again to end the story, though. So it was all right, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of tea.
I'm not sure who wrote it. I wanted to say Tom Tully, but I'm not sure about it. It was Mike Weston was the artist. Mike Weston who did Billy's Boots and obviously lots of other later on.
Well, I'll have to look up. We were told these recently, but I don't have it to hand right now. But we will.
Again, it was another one of those that it's funny. Again, it was another one of those that kind of fell into the category that I didn't really read. Although I must admit I did, and I've revisited in later years. But I do remember for some reason at the actual time reading the last edition, whether or not I'd kind of got into it, and I did find actually the last part of the story very, very poignant, actually.
I think I agree with you there. I think it just got a bit kind of war-y for me, if you see what I mean. It just wasn't my thing. It was I was after a football comic, and it was a bit gone.
I was just going to say, I just wonder at the time. I never thought this at the time, and then it's only just occurred to me. Again, what were Sal's doing at the time? It's interesting. Were they trying to be a bit more gritty, and get some other flavors into the comic? I wonder if as I say, Sal's. I think this would have been at the time where it wasn't as buoyant as it had been.
Well, it would have been
the start of the decline, if you see what I mean.
It would have been cheap because it's reprints, isn't it? So you lots more reprint. You see reprints coming in, don't you? I mean, as you're going to cover, and there's obviously other revamps coming down the line, when maybe there's a bit more budget. But yeah, clearly they're trying to save a bit of money.
I think so. Yeah. But it did look a bit out of place in this comic. This one was next, Project 917. First Division West Hampton City are presented with The Best Player in the World by Professor Ernest P. Smith and publicity agent Joe Snelling. And this player proved himself in a trial. If the readers hadn't worked it out before then, by episode 4, he is revealed to be a robot. Well, technically an android, because he had a bit of thinking himself, but and by the 5th part, we learn his name is Rob Smith. He makes his debut, scores 2 goals, but he short circuits in the bath afterwards, revealing the secret to his teammates, who decide to try and keep it from the management. The media start to work out that he can't get injured, so they monitor him like hawks. Then, though, Rob saves the life of a reporter, and so she covers up all of his incidents and turns them into good news stories. There's more problems at the time, all the time, should I say, more problems all the time. Like, for example, Rob is asked to referee a match in a prison. He almost helps the prisoners to escape. But following this, the prof forgets to reprogram him as a player, and he tries to referee the next First Division match, getting himself sent off. He also tries to amputate a teammate's leg after it was broken. These instances carried on. There were more things like that. The last few months, though, sees a summer tour to the USA, and it eventually gets all too much for the character, who was very sentient, as I said. It all gets too much for the character and the readers, as Rob jumps off a bridge in Washington, D.C., and the secret was gone forever. The plot lines were getting more cringeworthy by the episode, and the only surprise to me was that it lasted a full season.
Yeah, again, another one that I dipped into, but just
Ian Vosper wrote this, and when he emailed me back, he sounded like he's less proud of this one, should we say, than some of the others. Some of the others he wrote. So
I'm sorry, Ian. It certainly wasn't a patch on the Marx Brothers. I'm going to say that.
Absolutely, gosh, yeah, exactly. You peaked early.
Yeah. Yes. I think again, intriguing and looking for new things.
Looking at different angles, yeah, of course.
Different angles, yeah.
And the most out of place story of all time.
Yeah, yes, interesting. This was interesting.
Was Johnny Cougar. Now,
it's interesting. It's on the cover as well, a couple of times, isn't it?
Amazing. And there's a reason for that. The reason it was on the cover a couple of times is because it appeared on the front. This is a reprint.
Yeah.
The stories were originally printed in 1968, and a couple of times they were printed on the front cover of Tiger and Hurricane. So because of that, they had to be printed on the front cover.
Wow. Good research.
Of course. Now I can't even write a full review here. This plot just didn't thrill me.
Man, what's going on?
Yeah, all I can say was
by Manitou.
Yeah.
All I can say was there was a lot of wrestling.
And plaid shirts. Plaid shirts as well.
Plaid shirts, a lot of wrestling. It lasted 17 parts, and that was it. And to be honest, because it appeared on the front cover of Roy the Rovers twice, it gave those issues a bit of a poor look. I noticed
I just hope you don't bump into Johnny Cougar, because I mean, as far as if Johnny Cougar comes into Chan Towers, I'm going to say it was my favourite Johnny. That was Ian who said that.
I do notice that after this was dropped at times for a few weeks, it like 9 football stories inside, 9 soccer stories.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
No more wrestling. We apologise. It was that kind of thing. But...
Again, I do wonder if it was another attempt, and like we've said, a lot of these things, You mentioned, and I didn't say, like when Billy's boots, I agreed with you, Ian. It was amazing. Hotshot Hamish came straight from Tiger, but did Billy's boots stay in Eagle to try and keep some of the people that were interested in football purchasing Eagle because of the Billy's boot stories? Was this an attempt, throw Johnny Cougar, get some Johnny Cougar fans, because he's a very well known and much loved comic character? I don't think any of us would disagree with that. Was it just maybe get some new people? Oh, Johnny Cougar's in that, I'll have a look at that, and then hoping that they would then stay for the football, you know?
I can understand the thinking. Even if I don't agree with it.
I do agree it was completely misplaced, but I think that was amazing. Wow, what a year. Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Blimey, O'Reilly.
Can I just say, Ian, and this is not because I loved every minute, but about 3 times there I thought, oh, he's finished now. And then you went, and the next story, I was like, oh my God.
I know.
It's just amazing.
This is 24 slides. So thanks very much, guys, for
it was brilliant. And as I say, it's nothing to do with you, but it's amazing how much stuff there was in that year.
It was, and they put more stories in than ever. There were less features, and of course, Sign Please went, so that's 2 pages taken out of it for a start. And there were no real other photos because they just didn't have the color photos anyway. And so they just shoved it more comic strips in, and some of them had to be reprints. There you go.
Yeah, very strange era.
Yeah,
amazing. I mean, brilliant stuff. I just love the fact that, because it's not easy, because there's so much going on, but you managed to condense it down. It must be so hard to do. It must be so hard to do that. To do it, so well done, and say your book's going to have all of that in it as well.
It is, and more, and I've condensed it down even more for this. And I think each chapter is no more than, I think, 14 pages a couple of times, but most chapters are about 12 pages. So for a season.
I had to laugh at Mute there, and Ian, you took it very well, and it was a fantastic compliment, and it is brilliant. But I could read between the lines. Mute was basically saying, if you were doing that tangent, this would be over. Just 1 year would be over 52 pods.
Oh, thank God! I mean, Jesus, there's a reason why you work in IT and you're not an author. Blimey, O'Reilly. Deary me. No, it genuinely, it's great. You condense it down. It's brilliant. So well done, Ian.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Right. Talking of tangential one. I think he's been gargling away in the background there. He's been limpering up and down in his bouncy chair. We're going to hand over to the tangential one, and I'm going to share my screen.
So whilst Mute's doing that, as I say, so it is the Champ Spike edition, number 24, 4th of August 1984. And in actual fact, on the cover, the big picture is of a boxing match, KO for the Kingsway Kids. But at the bottom of the page, we see a little headline, a neat nutmeg and a star is born. Read about him in We Are United. Of course, we turn the page, and as I keep saying these things, with the new season just a month away,
when's this season going to start?
Joey, which is good.
Joey's putting the first team squad through a practice session. Centre forward Willie Barnes has been bothered by a dicky knee, and now we're informed in that top panel. And of course, we're in the action, and we see Willie Barnes. He goes down under a challenge. My knee, it's gone again. And this is very interesting, though. We just move on in the next panel. We next see it's reserve player Toby Juggies Clark trying to impress, and there's a neat body swerve, and it's a cool finish. Juggies, though, he smashes it through into the goal, and his thought bubble, I just hope the boss is watching. That evening, though, as Juggies makes his way home, there's a newspaper seller. Read all about it. Football idol to make comeback for United. Toby can't believe this. And he grabs a paper and he sees that Johnny West is to be offered £1,000 a week during a trial period for United. Juggy's thought bubble. It's not fair. He's nothing but a waster and a has-been. Why should he take Willie Barnes' place? The following day in the dressing room, Juggies wasn't the only player who's not upset by the news. Why bring him back? He's had more clubs than Tommy Docherty, which I found interesting. Again, we touch on the real world of football. Terry Evans, he's blooming deadbeat. It'll be the same old story. Not training properly, missing matches. But Tug Wilson's not having any of it. He interrupts. Oh, yeah? Well, listen here, Big Mouth Evans. Johnny West's got more footballing skill in his big toe than you'll ever have in a million years. And then, of course, we get Tug. In fact, one game puts Johnny up there among the footballing greats. And it is that moment where we need the music and the screen to go wavy and the smoke to descend. Because although Tug's going to relay us a story, we're going to be transported back in time. And I love doing this because we've got our very own time traveller on board with us.
Thank
and
God.
We're transported back to 1978. And United were challenging for the league championship. Remember, this is Tug Wilson telling the story. We faced a tough home game against our nearest rivals, Brummington City. Then we see at the centre circle, Clive Lyle to West. Your first game back after injury, Johnny. How do you feel? Fine, Clive. I just hope my leg stands up to it. But almost straight from the kickoff, Brummington's, and oh, we've got another one of those brilliant character names. Brummington's Growler Graham. What a name for a defender.
Sorry. Growler Graham.
Growler Graham.
Okay, carry on.
Growler Graham has decided to test out West's leg with a horrendous challenge. And I tell you what, well, of course, we're back in 78 and you could challenge from behind in those days, and he certainly does. And Growler, he literally growls at Johnny West. That's just to let you know I mean business, West. West on the ground, though. I tell you what, these guys, they're strong. You're going to have to do better than that, Growler. My 6-year-old nephew tackles harder than that. Get used to it, mate, because there's a lot of Growler to come. The referee gives the free kick.
To be fun. You know what? This is a lot more Growler than I was expecting when we started recording this show.
Yeah. The referee gives the free kick, but everywhere West went, Growler was with him, tackles and headers, and we see that West is he's struggling, he's trying hard, but as the game went on, he just seemed to lose heart, and he's drifting out, although always being marked by 2 defenders. Wilson now, though, we see Wilson with the ball, and it's a neat pass to Fred Rimmy. It's moving through the midfield. Oh, it's a slide rule pass from Rimmy. Oh, wow, West, what a turn of pace. Had he been play acting, I tell you what, he's burnt off Growler there. He's driven past Growler onto that pace. That pass, he's into the area. Oh, goal! What a finish by West. 1-0 to United in this vital title match. I tell you what, they're showing, West shows his skill there without doubt. One moment in the match and he's straight on it. Well, the action moves on, and we now see West. He's showing all of his skills. This guy is a baller, I tell you. He's nutmegging Growler. And then we see he's through on goal, and he loves this. A fantastic lob over the Brummington goalkeeper. Oh, unfortunately, though, the ball's bounced off the top of the crossbar, preventing what would have been, well, another spectacular finish from West. We're now told, Tug tells us, though, early in the second half, Brummington pull a goal back, and it's 1-1. But stung by the equaliser, United have once more pushed forward. It's a great run from Rimmy from the left-hand side into the penalty area. Oh, what a shot. He's beaten the Brummington keeper there, hands down, but he's cannoned off the underside of the crossbar. West! Oh, wow, what a finish from the United number 9. A scissor kick, I tell you. Fantastic. If you can get the highlight reel of this one, a scissor kick to put United 2-1 ahead. Fantastic. What a couple of fantastic finishes from Johnny West here. With the game nearing its end, United have just punted the ball forward and West's on the edge of the area. Oh, what a little dink header. What an amazing header. He's cushioned it over Growler Graham. He's spun round. He's running onto it. Oh, he's volleyed it in. What a goal. 3-1 United. I tell you this, I've just seen that skill with my own eyes and I still don't believe it. What an amazing goal. I've just witnessed an absolutely amazing piece of skill by Johnny West. If you get a chance to see this, I mean, we've mentioned this, we've got a new youth policy with new viewers at 52 years of age, so you might be aware of this, but you remember that Frank Worthington goal when he flips it over and back and forward, this cushioned header.
I'm thinking Liam Brady as well. Look at that. Look at that. What a goal by Brady.
Yeah. It's similar to Gascoigne as well against Scotland, isn't it?
Yes,
Colin Hendry,
just a lovely cushioned header over, turns, spins and volleys home. And well, What a performance by West, a hat-trick in such an amazing game. Tug continues to tell the story, though, saying after the game, the high life, the casinos, the nightclubs, Johnny was hardly ever seen without a famous starlight on his arm, and he began to miss training. But the ultimate sin, he failed to turn up for a European Cup match. Manager Ron Boston, of course, and in these flashbacks, we know Ron doesn't suffer fools gladly. He was furious. Boston, that's it, West. You're through. You're an insult to your profession and to all the fans who put you where you are now. West, I'm sorry, boss. If only I had another chance. But Tug concluded, you all know the rest. Johnny slid down to the 4th division, a season in America, his numerous comebacks. Alex Hedgehog Jones. Yeah, we know that's why we don't want him here. He's had his chance. Wild spoiled Jughead's chances. At that very moment, no, there's a quiet voice. Got any spare lockers, lads? I'm Johnny West. I start training today. Alex, yeah, sure, over here. His thought bubble, though. Heck, I wonder how much he overheard. We now see Joe Pearson. He's introducing Johnny to the players, including Jughead. And they're now on the training pitch. And Jughead's got the ball again and he's looking to impress. But West, though, he tell you what, in a bit of defensive, he's pulled back and he sees an opportunity. And he tell you what, before Jughead knows what's going on, West robbed him of the ball. And then he fires home past Charlie Ironbar. And it's a fantastic goal. And I've got to say, fair play to young Toby Clark. He's looked on with admiration there. And as the players come off, West approaches Jughead. I was watching you, Toby. You did a lot of good things out there. Jughead is actually pleased to hear that from West. And in the showers, he's telling the players that West has not lost it. Although Alex Hedgehog Jones and Benny Granger, they're taking the mickey. Crikey, a few days ago, you were dead against him. Now you're ready to lick his boots. Jughead, read up. You take that back, Hedgehog, or I'll land you. Well, it gets a little bit fiery in the United change room. But Alex and Benny Granger, though, they're not going to take that from a reserve player. And they've grabbed him and they've shoved him under a cold shower. And they're saying, that'll teach you to cheek your elders. There you go. Off-field moments once more in the United dressing room.
They can't be elders by that much, to be fair.
We then see Johnny is on the training pitch and he's obviously feeling the pressure of another chance. He's juggling the ball with his head.
He's got a ball stuck to his head for some reason.
Yeah. Well, as we saw in that match with the cushioned header, he's very skilled keeping the ball up with his head. I think I should move on at that point.
Yeah.
His thought bubble, though, how will I do in my first game? It's only a friendly, but it's make or break for me. So obviously Johnny is feeling the pressure at this time in his career. We then see Johnny is at home and, supposed friends of his, they're trying to get him to come out to a nightclub and the casino. But Johnny says, you're meant to be friends of mine. Let me go. I can't go out. I won't go. And he asks them to leave. So we can see he's trying to turn things around. And we're informed then that West is in the team for the friendly and Jughead is a sub. Well, that's the first half of this story. And we know at this moment, we get the headline at the bottom of the page. Johnny makes his debut for United. And he comes up against an old rival, Growler Graham. Turn to page 23 for more terrific football action.
More growlers.
Yes. Okay. And we quickly then, if we go through the pages and we get to page 23 and mute button on the big screen there, gets there on the big screen in the studio. And we're informed that Saturday's game is against second division Westingham Forest. I must admit, I don't remember that name. One for Simo there. Mm-hmm. In the first panel, though, we see Juggy is wishing Johnny all the best, with West remarking, thanks, Toby. I haven't felt so nervous since I played for the England schoolboys. Well, that was quite interesting. He's probably played in cup finals and goodness knows what other type matches since then. But there you go. Can you believe in the next panel? Yes, there he is. We see that Growler Graham is playing for Forest. Growler, don't be so hard on me, Johnny. I find it a struggle to keep my place these days. West responding, don't worry, Graham. I won't deliberately make you look bad. I like that. I won't deliberately do it. The game kicks off and it's a nervous start for Johnny. He's on the ball and this Hedgehog Jones is making a nice run out on the left and he knocks it out. Oh my God, it's a horrible pass. It's straight out into touch. It's nowhere near Hedgehog Jones. I tell you what, he's no way could have got to that. And we see Hedgehog's thought bubble, old has been, Don't know what the boss picked him for. Minutes later, Westie's in the middle of the goal area. It's an easy chance, and he blazes it over the crossbar. A dreadful attempt from the former great. I mean, and it really is. I mean, it's awful. Miles over the crossbar. I'm sure, actually, I mean, we don't see in the panel, but I reckon that's gone out over the stand, to be quite honest. Now we're informed with a quarter of an hour gone that we start to see some of the West magic. We get a great dummy for Fred Remy. Runs over the ball. Again, though, it's interesting in this story. We don't actually see what happens to what Fred Remy does with that ball. But then we next see West in his action. And it's a fantastic overhead kick from West. It's forced a great save from the Westingham keeper. And the fans are commenting that West has still got it, showing this glimpses of his former self. But as we get closer to half time, we see Growler getting to the ball ahead of West, and he's goading West. Too slow. You've had too many late nights again. And can you believe this now? Growler has put his foot on the ball, and he's turning and on the ball, and he's fronting up West, and he's goading West again. Come on, West. Come and take it from me if you can. That is West. And you're the guy that asked me to take it easy. But we see Growler, he easily moves past West, and then he clears the ball, and the crowd are now commenting that West is not worth the 1,000 per week. Jug Ears is on the bench, and he's looking concerned for West. He's thought bubble. Graham's humiliating Johnny, and to think he never got near him in the old days. And well, it's half time now, and we see West is just slumped on the bench in the dressing rooms. Legs are out, socks are rolled down. I've got to say, he does look like a spent force. And manager Joe Pearson, well, I've got to say, with each issue, this manager really is showing that how he's settling into the job and his experience. I'm sorry, Johnny, I'm putting on young Toby. The pace seems a bit much for you. In all fairness to Johnny West, sure, Joe, I understand looking very disconsolate, West, but I think he can see that he's just not at this level for long enough now. But Johnny, he's got words of encouragement for Toby. The two of them seem to have gelled here. And as the team went out for the second half, you deserve your chance, Toby, and you can do something for me. Growler made me look a fool out there. I want you to do the same to him. Jug Ears responds, okay, Johnny. But the second half doesn't start that well for Jug Ears. It's a pass straight to Growler. Really poor. I mean, it wasn't a difficult pass, but he's mistimed it. Then we see Growler. He's bashing him off the ball. And man, it's not just a shoulder barge, it's a full body. I tell you what, it's a tackle that would be more akin to a rugby game, to be quite honest. And he's letting him know, I tell you what, this Growler's got a lot to say for himself. This must be my lucky day, kid. First West, now you. Moments later, we see Toby beaten in the air easily by a different Westingham defender. But Growler could not resist further comments. Beaten again, kid. You want to pack in this game? Well, it's a very tough start for Toby Clark here. But at that moment, Johnny West has emerged from the tunnel, now changed from his kit, and he's shouting to Toby, come on, Toby, show him. You can do it, just like you did at training. Don't let Graham get the better of you. And that seems to have lifted Toby. And moments later, he's on the ball, and he's running at Growler. He's squaring up to him. But Toby, he's not taken Growler on. Oh, what a little dink. A lovely ball lobbed over the defender to Terry Evans. And I can't believe it. Even old Big Ed Evans himself is saying a great pass. That just tells you how good a pass that was. The action moves on. And now we see Toby's determined. And he robs the ball off a Growler. And now it's Toby's turn. Jug Ears, he tell you what, you made a fool of Johnny. Now I'm going to make a fool of you. And next we see Jug Ears. He's nutmegging Growler. I love this. Oh, this youngster. If I beat you again, Growler, I get to keep you. Jug Ears is giving him some of his old medicine here. And once more, we see Jug Ears facing Growler. Growler, cocky kid, you're making me look like an idiot. Jug Ears responding. That's the idea, mate. The bigger, the better. Jug Ears has crossed for Fred Remy to slot home. It's 1-0 to United in this friendly. A lovely goal. And Jug Ears, I tell you what, he's really making this match all about him. He's running this game. The match moves on now. And in the dying seconds at the end of the game, Growler's underhit a back pass. Oh, Jug Ears has pounced on it. And he's made no mistake. Goal! 2-0 to United. Jug Ears commenting. Oh, and that finishes the game. And you, Graham. Oh, good on you, Jug Ears. And I tell you, the final whistle's gone. And Jug Ears, he can't wait to get back into the dressing room. He wants to see Johnny. But Fred Remy and Alex Hedgehog Jones, they're patting him on the back. and they're saying what a great performance it is. But Johnny Juggy just wants to get into that dressing room. But Johnny has already left. But he's left a note on his locker, on Toby's locker, and the note, Toby, good luck, kid, but you won't need it. Not with your skills. You'll be a big star sometime. Sorry I couldn't stay until the end, but I watched quite a bit of the game. Johnny. Oh, after the players had changed, Alex Hedgehog Jones, here's one for you, Ridders. I hope you're listening. Yeah. And he asked Toby, do you want to go to the new disco? Toby, no, I don't think so, Hedgehog. That's not a good habit to get into. I'm going to have a quiet night in. Of course, Toby there, learning from Johnny West's past. And, well, we have, again, this is the last panel in this week's edition, and it's quite a poignant one.
A sad one.
We see Johnny, he's sat in a railway buffet. And this is interesting. I think Simo will find this, and obviously all the listeners and YouTube viewers, sat waiting for his train home to Newcastle. He's looking a beaten man, and the TV's on, and it's not helping because the commentary on the TV. Surely United didn't need to bother bringing back Johnny West. Didn't they realise they had a star right under their noses? Yes, young Toby Clark is definitely on his way up to the top, but I'm afraid Johnny West has reached his bottom. And that is the end of this week's edition. Well, quite a poignant story as we see one of United's old star, or Zamel. I don't know, big things picked for Toby, and we'll see in the issues coming up. And of course, at the bottom of the page, we get it. Next week, the build up for the new season begins in earnest, and we get off to a terrible start when one of our star players breaks his leg. Well, there you go.
Wow, the sad story of Johnny West.
Yes.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah. Based on no one in particular, of course.
No, of course. I wouldn't want to get my West and best muddled up, to be quite honest. And I'm not
the girl on each arm and the USA and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Not sure if I see any similarities there myself, if a time traveller, but
some of the best tinned fish, though, wasn't it? Didn't he? He went into tinned fish afterwards, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, it all turned out well.
All turned out, yeah.
Tuna salesman of the year.
Pilchards and sardines. Brilliant. Great stuff. Wow. Thank you. Excellent. Well, what a great show. Sad show at the start, but what a great show. So thanks a lot, guys. So just final thoughts, and we'll kind of wrap up. Next show will be in a couple of weeks' time, and Bygone and Goal should be back for that. So we look forward to the chaps coming back for that one. But yeah, final thoughts. I'll come back to you, Tangential, first. Your thoughts?
Yeah, with Ian, fantastic review as always. And I think in all fairness, it was one of the most controversial years ever in the Roy of the Rovers. But at the same time, I felt it was quite a good review and fitting to Barrie there, showing he was never afraid actually to, and I know in later years, tackle on tough subjects, but also as Ian was going through these, it really did intrigue me, and reminded me of moments in various stories, and thought actually I need to reread those. So I think it was really good. And just one last thing I'm going to say: if you get a chance, to all you YouTube viewers and pod listeners, 25th of July 1981, on the front page of Roy of the Rovers, Danefield United win in the league championship, and on the page inside it's quite an amazing addition we've got. Is it Zorg? I get this wrong, from 2000 AD, congratulating Victor Boscovic. But Tharg, that's it. And then but in the bottom panel, which I really like, there is a picture of Barrie Tomlinson, and they're wondering how to share this victory. So I think that's a great way for me to end this pod.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Tangent. And yourself, Welsh Time Lord.
Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks again for having me on. And it was good to go through another season. Always great to listen to your commentaries, Tangent. And I remember that one so well as well, from the past, and the introduction of Juggies Clark, who was a good character for a short while. And Johnny West, who was traveling on train back to Oldcastle in the end, not Newcastle.
Yeah, that was weird. I noticed that.
Yeah,
it does actually have Newcastle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did say Newcastle, which, as I say, I'm sure Simo would be aware, but it will definitely jump on that.
Exactly. No, but thank you very much. Like I say, sad for what we have having to that we had a need to reflect on the sad death of Barry, but it's something that we wanted to do, of course, and I'm sure he would have enjoyed this as he did all the other podcasts we did.
Absolutely, yeah. Well said, well said. Yep, that's the show, guys. As I say, we'll be back again in a couple of weeks' time. Rest in peace, Barry, and we'll see you again very soon. Good night.